star 439 hash. You're picking option 8. Star 439 hash. Today, I want you to pick option 8 for the MG jackpot. Now that one comes with a different charge. It'll cost you 10 cedis to play, and you could be walking away with 4,000 Ghana cedis. That's right, we're doing it big this morning. It's the MG jackpot. Again, it's star 439 hash. Star 439 hash. Make sure you're playing as many times as possible. Make sure you get in the game as many times as possible. You know the drill. If you don't play, you don't win. So please take out your mobile device, star 439 hash, and win some money. 4,000 Ghana cedis going straight onto your mobile device. The weekend is upon us. It's Father's Day. Maybe you can get your father something exceptional, something exquisite to show him how much you truly care. So do please keep on playing. Get your mobile phones out right now and play. Star 439 hash. Star 439 hash. Again, you're choosing option 8. 10 cedis to play, and you too could win 4,000 Ghana cedis. Let me say a very big thank you to Ohima in Prince for my beautiful attire this morning. Ohima _in_Prince. Do check her out on all of the socials. But Father's Day is almost here, and Woodine has made it effortless to find the perfect gift. Now, from now up until June 15th, when you shop the men's shirts, t-shirts, or polos at any Woodine retail or partner shop, you get a free Woodine branded Bluetooth headset. You heard that right, absolutely for free. Style and sound in one sweet package. So show some love with flair and make dad look effortlessly cool. Only at Woodine. It's available at all Woodine retail and partner shops nationwide. Now in Accra, Woodine shops can be found at the Accra Mall, also the ANC Mall, Junction Mall, Osu Oxford Street, Legon City Mall, HM Mall inside Adenta. Terms and conditions do apply. Woodine is le créateur. And I'm encouraging a lot of you to also share your thoughts and views on the big issue this morning. We're streaming across the globe. You can find us on X, on Facebook, also on YouTube. We are at TV3 Ghana. Let's get into the meat of the matter. And I'll lay the foundation for our first topic this morning, and then I'll introduce the panel to you this morning. We certainly have the men on big issues, so do get comfortable, get yourself a nice beverage, and follow along with us this morning. Now, since 2006, ZoomLion has managed sanitation workers under the Youth Employment Authority's program. Now, what began as a promising initiative later faced some serious allegations of mismanagement, inflated costs, and underpayment of sweepers. Investigative journalist Manasseh Azure Awuni has exposed these issues over the years. You can say that he started this crusade around 2013. Now, just yesterday, President Mahama announced that the government will not renew the contract and plans to increase sweepers' wages using the savings. However, Manasseh does warn that a lack of political will may hinder accountability for those responsible. And he's here in flesh and blood. Manasseh Azure Awuni, investigative journalist, also an author. Manasseh, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Or shall I say Akwaba?
Yeah, Miniaba.
How are you doing?
God's grace, I'm doing very well.
Good to see you. We're very excited to speak with you this morning. I also have Professor Enoch Opoku Entry, governance expert and policy analyst, no stranger to the platform. Prof, hello, good morning.
Alain, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I like what you're wearing today.
Thank you very much. I like African prints. It's so beautiful. But I wanted to say quick two things. I am imploring the government on the G-levy to publish whatever we are going to earn every month so that Ghanaians will know what is going on. It will enhance trust in the governance because we're looking for about 550 million. That's the projected numbers. But we owe 1.2 billion every month. So let's project and tell people every month whatever we are earning. The second one is that I want to be a life coach this morning too. If you meet a rich person or a wise person, don't ask for money or don't accept money from that person. Ask for access. Once you get access to that person, he can use his name to connect you to other people to get you a job that will give you 10 times what he would have given to you when you met them. And then the last one is about the BEC going on. Some interesting thing that happened. I had a girl who called me on Tuesday before the Wednesday that they started their paper. They were there at the school until 11 p.m.
11 p.m.?
11 p.m. And then the teachers also said that there's a pastor who is coming to pray for them. So the pastor prayed for them until midnight. Then they had to come back home and wake up early morning at 4 a.m. and go back to the school. And I was wondering, why do you torture these kids like this? You know, so I wish them all the best in the BEC. But I think that some of these things, we should let these kids rest.
Absolutely.
So that they can write their exams and pass.
Absolutely, very important. Prof, good to see you this morning. Also, Ebo Buckman, Senior Communicator, Movement for Change. Ebo, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. You know, last week, I couldn't make it. I was in Cape Coast. I buried my senior brother last weekend, so I wasn't
Condolences.
here. Yeah.
Condolences.
But I'm here today.
It's good to see you.
For us to discuss very important issues.
Absolutely. Also in the studio, my very good friend, although I know he will vehemently disagree, Abraham Amaliba is the Acting Director General, National Road Safety Authority. Lawyer Amaliba, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Why do you think I strive in controversy? If you are my good friend, I'll accept it. You are my good friend.
It's good to see you.
It's good to be here too. But
I like the suit.
Yes, it is purposely for this program today. Talking about the BEC, I still don't understand why the children are made to write every day.
Yes.
It's too much for children at that age.
We need to cut it.
No, but every day they are writing exam.
Yes.
Every day for 1 week, continuously.
And they are not sleeping.
There should be space.
They are
There should
coming
be
home at
space.
10:30 p.m., 11 p.m. every day.
You don't even write one paper a day.
They don't even write one paper a day. Yes, also. It's too much. What do we do? Because even the university, we space our exams.
Of the final.
They shouldn't be like that. These kids must be given, we must encourage them to be able to give out their best. But writing every day, who does that? They, the professors, the teachers,
Be careful, there's a professor here.
Exams is something that brings fear.
Yes.
In fact, if you bring all the professors, the vice chancellors in this country, so that one of them will be the super vice president to write exam for them, they will panic the night before the exam.
That's true.
So
going so far, if they were to sit down, professors were to sit down and write BEC, some of them would panic.
Definitely.
Oh
Every examination, even
We're
from class
shaking
one.
tables this morning. But gentlemen, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for...
You look beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ohima and Prince doing the Lord's
you have
work.
a wife,
Yes.
and you're openly doing this.
Lawyer Maliba, let's
On
continue.
national TV.
Beautiful.
It's a nice dress, lawyer.
Okay,
He has the right to admire it. Manasseh, let me kick things off with you. And we'll also be projecting the letter written by the president as government announces discontinuation of the contract between ZoomLion and YEA under the sanitation module. If we can get that letter up and we can peruse what it is exactly that the presidency has to say about this issue. It's on the screens right about now, and we'll quickly look through what it has to say. It's dated the 11th of June, 2025. Manasseh, this is addressed to you, am I right? Okay, and this is off the back of the petition you sent April 27th. Yes. All right, okay, so I'll just take you through the pointers so that we can hurry along with this conversation. So it's a re-petition to discontinue the expired contract between the Youth Employment Agency, YEA, and ZoomLion Ghana Limited. It starts off by saying, I refer to your letter dated April 27th, 2025 on the above matter. His Excellency, the President, acknowledges the serious concerns raised in your letter and responds as follows. Expiration of the contract, and that says that the contract will not be renewed. It has in fact expired. Audit of payments and claims, something that is going to happen. And also there's going to be competitive procurement. We've talked about this on The Big Issue, why government should be looking at competitive procurement to ensure that the state gets more bang for its buck. Also, sweeper fees, that's point 4. And that one says, with probable cost savings, the government intends to increase the sweeper fees to a more livable income. And then also fumigation contracts. Contracts that have not been performed will be reviewed and where appropriate terminated in accordance with their terms and upon advice of the Attorney General. All right, that letter signed by Callistus Mahama, Secretary to the President, again addressed to Mr. Manasseh Azuri Awuni, who is in the studios. Manasseh, you described yesterday's news or this letter as one of the best pieces of news that you have received in your journalism career. Is it because of the length of time that you have been, shall I say, waging this war?
That is partly so. The other point is also that if you are in this country and you operate in the space that I do, some corporate entities and some individuals are almost untouchable. And ZoomLion and the Jospon Group is one of them. So someone would say, why praise the president for doing this? President Akufo-Addo and his MPP, when they were in opposition, said this was a fraudulent contract. They held a press conference in November 2016 and said the John Mahama administration was unable to do away with it because, in their ways, President Mahama was directly benefiting from rot such as this. Then Akufo-Addo became president, and it got worse. I personally, if anybody ever sees me having a photograph with the president's wife, the reason was this contract. After everything through his people failed, I had to meet the wife, and I went with a letter. Someone was asking, did I present a petition? A similar letter. It got worse. So it takes some level of boldness for President Mahama to do what he's done, and I appreciate him for that. Besides, when you are an investigative journalist, the work is dangerous. Your family will wonder why you should even do it. But two things keep you going. First is your commitment and your resolve that what you are doing is right, but also the impact. My very first investigative story was the JIDA, youth employment story. President Mahama was then in office. He constituted a committee that worked on it. 2 people went to jail. Parliament passed a law. That's how it's now Youth Employment Agency. All the contracts were cancelled except one. And that is the very one that has been discontinued now. We retrieved about 60 million cedis from the Agams group. RLG and others were gone, and the cancellation resulted in savings not less than $100 million. So that was something that really gave me a lot of comfort that, okay, if my effort could yield this result, then let me stay in investigative reporting, despite the fact that my family had said after that story I shouldn't do investigative reporting. Then you do this advocacy right to the president. There is that respect to respond to your letter and said, look, we are working on it, and when we are done, we'll communicate to you. Then after that, the communication comes to you in a very respectful manner. And this is something you hardly get from administrations. I've always been talking about what some of us endured in the Akufo-Addo era. So things like this do not only tend to motivate you to do more, it also gives you this hope that, look, those who matter will sometimes listen to you. I remember when I saw the Fourth Estate, we did a story about asset declaration.
Right.
We published how ministers, some within 7 years, didn't even declare their assets. The presidency didn't even acknowledge it. Recently, my colleagues, I'm no longer at the Fourth Estate, my colleagues who are there now did the story and then look at the response that the president gave. So if you're...
Are you referring to SML?
No, I'm talking of asset declaration.
Okay.
So if you are a journalist and then you do a story and the whole president acts on the story, it gives you some kind of motivation, because this work, 2 things. You're either doing for fame, for money or anything, but when you start journalism, when I started, just see my byline, a story by Manasseh was enough. Then I started winning awards. Then it got to a point, the awards became so many that they didn't really tickle you. And it's the work that your life is on the line, so I don't think any award is worth it. But if you believe strongly that certain people who are humans just like you are being treated like slaves with your resources, because the money is used to pay ZoomLion and others, they are those of us sitting here.
Taxpayers' money.
Yes, our money. So I would commend the president so highly for taking this step, but to say that this is just the beginning.
What more needs to be done?
Well, some announcements have been made. In the past, there were instructions that don't pay ZoomLion until satisfactory auditing was done. A lot of those things didn't happen. They continue to pay them. So we are going to ensure, or I am going to follow up to see, the president makes directives, but sometimes those below don't. And they said, okay, we are now going to subject contracts to competitive bidding. We are going to decentralize them. Some of the contracts are not needed in the first place, like this sweepers contract. Every assembly in this country has the capacity, more than ZoomLion, to supervise people to sweep. There are waste management departments in all the assemblies. Before ZoomLion came, we used to have in Saman people, the sanitary inspectors. You couldn't leave garbage in your frontage, in your home. Your parents would harass you that if you let them, someone else will use your fees to pay and then you be at home. So things were done properly. ZoomLion came to the scene, they put all of those ones aside and said, let's award a contract called sanitation gas, who would take over the Saman thing. And they operated just like these sweepers. Right. Let's give them 500, they'll pay 100 and take 400. That collapsed. So the assemblies, any district chief executive who wants to award a contract to somebody to supervise sweepers is either very ignorant about what is happening, or the person is simply a thief. I have a letter from the immediate past mayor of Accra, who writes to the YEA and says, the city is dirty. There are supposed to be this number of people to come and sweep our metropolis. We don't find them. So where are they? Can you give us the list? The YEA, which is supposed to own the youth employment program, the sweepers, didn't have the list. Meanwhile, every month, ZoomLion presents a budget of 45,000 people in the pay. Even when the YEA attempted to do a head count, it was led by Justin Kudria Frimpong, who is now the MPP General Secretary. He was the YEA CEO. They did this head count and came out to say, look, some of the people that didn't even have our appointment letters. But even with that, we got 38,000. ZoomLion presents 45,000. We asked ZoomLion to present the payroll. The company has failed to do it. Yet, they kept paying.
So that suggested that there was an excess there that isn't or wasn't accounted for.
Exactly. And the assemblies, the biggest ones are the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly and then the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. I went to KMA. We went out to the Central Business District with KMA officials. And I captured this in a documentary, Robbing the Assemblies. And they used their IGF to employ people to sweep the Central Business District of Kumasi. So I asked, but on paper, ZoomLion is supposed to have about 1,700 people here, so we don't find them. So if you are a DC, an MC, and then there's an opportunity to take charge of your sanitation, and all of the monies were paid from the District Assembly's Common Fund. Right. So if you now have the opportunity to get people to sweep or clean your community, and you think you need a contractor from Accra to come and then supervise them, and the supervision is just like this. ZoomLion didn't have a lot of people, or even now, if you go to some of the districts, they have just 1 or 2 employees. So they use this same YEA sweepers, maybe this area, you be the head. This area, you be the supervisor. So amongst them, that's how they operated. So these contracts are not needed. The fumigation contracts are not needed. The only contract that I sincerely believe a company may be needed is the one that SIP, the one to ensure that the refuse that is swept. So this contract we are talking about, when ZoomLion, the workers finish sweeping and they put the refuse in the container size in the markets, lifting it to the disposal site, ZoomLion has a separate contract that pays for that. When it gets to the sanitation, the landfill site, there's another contract that pays for the management of the landfill site. And if you go to most of the assemblies across the country, they just burn the landfill sites, but they pay money to manage it. Then there's a contract for sanitation, the fumigation. The fumigation contracts are 3. One from the assemblies, one from the Ministry of Health, which is awarded and then paid for by the National Health Insurance Authority. And then the local government ministry every year awards another one. So all these contracts, if you look at the payments, billions of cedis, but nothing is happening. So for the lifting, not all assemblies have the trucks. Some of the big assemblies do. I went to Takwan Swayim, and they had trucks, and they were managing their area better than where ZoomLion's workers were.
Right.
So if assembly doesn't have those trucks, and they want to engage a company through competitive bidding to lift the containers to the disposal site, I don't have any problem with that. But the other contracts, just take the District Assembly's Common Fund audit by the Auditor General. Just take any report and type fumigation. Download the report, search for fumigation. You will see the plethora of incidents. Every year, these people paid, ZoomLion doesn't deliver, yet it is happening. So these are some of the things that I think we should follow up. And I don't think it should be a Manasseh campaign because the monies are not
coming to you.
Coming to me. All of us tend to or stand to lose. We are paying billions to companies that don't deserve it, yet nurses cannot be paid and all of that. So these are things that I think beyond the announcement, I would want all of us to pay attention to. And also pay attention to the metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives who would think that, well, there was corruption at the center, it's been decentralized, it is our time to chop. We will pay attention to them.
You've got your eye on them. Most certainly. And we've also reached out to ZoomLion this morning to get their side, but we're told that they say they haven't received any documentation from the presidency and cannot speak to the issues at this time. I'm sure in due course we'll also be able to hear from ZoomLion. But Manasseh, thank you so much for laying that foundation. This is a quest that you have been on since 2013. So what is that, 12 years now? You have been advocating that governments, past and present, look at this particular deal with ZoomLion to see if we're really getting bang for our buck. Finally, in just about a minute, you talk about the conditions under which these sweepers were working, and you say it's one that was quite heartbreaking for you, seeing them work and then only earning 250 Ghana cedis a month. Speak to that for me, and then I'll move on to Prof.
Yes, they don't have health insurance. You know, they are dealing with fields, so when they fall sick, they're on their own. Some are on the streets. If they are injured, they're on their own. Some would move from their locations to go to where they work. No transportation allowance, nothing. And you have a contract that says every month allocate 850. ZoomLion takes 600 and they take 250. And if you look at the numbers ZoomLion claims to be controlling, if you do the math, a company is taking about 27 million cedis every month, okay, managing these sweepers. But the people who go out to sweep, if you divide their daily wages like 8 cedis, they cannot buy roadside wache. I was in Kumasi on Saturday. We went to a place to eat. They said jollof, they start from 30 cedis.
The scoop?
The scoop,
One
yes.
scoop?
No, when they are serving, they start from 30 cedis.
Okay.
That's the lowest you could. I think
that's without meat?
No, without
even
meat.
Kumasi where food is cheaper.
Yes. So I was telling someone that, well, Kumasi, the cost of living is getting higher. But 2 years ago, I tried to buy wachi at Baoleshi here. And they said, I just need something small. I say, oh, mommy, 5 cities, so you enter 5 cities. It begins from 10 cities, and that 10 cities, a baby that knows how to eat can finish it. So you have people who go and work, then they take like 8 cities per day, and they cannot buy kinky, they cannot buy wachi. But this program wasn't even meant for the RLGs, the ZoomLions, and the Zero groups of this world. This was a program meant for the unfortunate young people who don't have so much in terms of education or employable skills. Because the national security had said youth unemployment was becoming a national security threat. So let's do something about it. So if ZoomLion wants to do business, there should be business avenues. This is a social intervention program. You don't allow greedy corporate entities to run it down.
Manasseh, thank you so much again for that foundation. Prof, I come to you. Should it have taken Manasseh 12 years to get a response, especially with some of the issues that he has uncovered? As I mentioned, we have reached out to ZoomLion so that they too can have their bite, but they're not ready to speak at this time. But Manasseh says it's great news, but it's taken 12 years.
Yes, bro. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. And I don't know if you remember me, you came to my office and gave me one of your books at Academy City.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been following Manasseh's story for a long time. And the reason why I have interest of him is that I was a regional manager for the German Technical Corporation, and I work at Kete where he is from. So the Karachi Senior High School, the whole town, water system.
Manasseh is not from Kete. He's my brother from the same region. He's from Bongo. He grew up, born in Kete.
I actually was born in Bongo. I went to Karachi around 6 years.
So I'm talking about
don't
Karachi
take
that I
him
know.
away from us and give it to
I'm not taking. See, somebody just wrote to me that Amaliba has decided to give you, Prof, a hard time today. When you said Ellen was beautiful. She recommended my dress, I recommended hers, and my friend.
No, what I'm doing was to point your wife to certain directions.
We need to have fun, you know, and
Absolutely.
I like that kind of things. He's done a good job for the past 12 years fighting this. I think leadership has failed, you know, most of the poor people. The poor never forgets. So if you cheat the poor because the poor never forget, God also never forgets. That is why when Christ was here, he said that, you know, give to the poor, give to the widows. Those people need that kind of help. And there's a reason why if you go to any advanced country, the cleaners are paid more than bank tellers. There's a reason why. If you go to TV3 here, if you go to Manshia, if you go to Jubilee House, any well-meaning visitor looks at the front end, the toilet and the bathrooms. When we were at the university, we thought that TEU was nothing. When UTAC went on strike, everybody was, oh, professors have gone on strike. Then one day, the UTAC went TEU. And we said, what was TEU? That was the first time when we were at the university. What was TEU? Yeah. So nobody saw the importance of this guy. Then we saw that the toilets were full. The urinal were there. The leaves are falling. Nobody was sweeping them. And then the whole university was stinking. Then people started realizing the importance of TEU people, which is very important. So anywhere that I go, I tell people that my mother was a cleaner.
She say it with pride.
Yes, she was an Audrey at the hospital, cleaning, vomits, toilets, but she used that to raise 5 kids. Some professors, all of them have their master's degree. So we need to respect people and whatever they do. I remember Sister Quia, we call her Sister Quia Missy. She lived at the Fijase in Koforidia. She worked at ZoomLion when they started. She was paid 100 Ghana cedis. Every morning she had to wake up at 4 a.m., go to the lorry station and then sweep. Look at the dust and everything. She died. I'm saying this so that we can add human touch to what has happened. So you go for a contract, you are earning over 600 Ghana cedis. And even as of now, after 19 years that now the contract is being, you know, abrogated, you are still paying people 250 Ghana cedis. Let's ask ourselves, if you want to eat a decent fufu, you know, in the evening, how can you use 250 a whole month? How many fufu can you eat in a day? Garifuto in Accra here, at Osu here, is 150 Ghana cedis. Garifuto with 2 eggs. So if you look at the food cost and how much we are paying these people, and then if you look at that monopoly monopoly that ZoomLion has been enjoying. I'm not going to talk about somebody's business. People have their own connections and how they do things. But I think that we are linear thinkers. Once we get to know that this person is good at this, we give everything to that person and forget about the other bidders who would have even bidded for lower and then would have been given. Because these big entities knows the name of the game. They know how to give some percentages to some people somewhere, and after that, you know, there's peace in the neighborhood.
You're speaking in parables.
I'm speaking in parables because I'm a wise person. I'm a wise person. I know how, you know, corporate works. We have to think about giving opportunity to other people because ZoomLion have benefited from monopoly, almost monopoly, from both NDC and MPP for a long time. Even if you look at the billboards around, celebrities, we pick just one or two individuals. What about the rest? We don't give them opportunities. If we pick companies, we pick just one or two. What about the rest? I think we should spread wealth. And I'm saying this with emphasis that we should create opportunities for everybody. They are all citizens. We should create opportunity for everybody. But if you look at what has happened there, the money that they were paying, the poultry fee that they were paying to sweepers, it's insulting. It's insulting looking at how much they are getting. And my friend here has saved us over $100 million from his investigation alone. So my advice to the media, I listened to some radio station that they were talking about men and women, which of them borrow a lot, la borrow. And the whole 3 hours program on men, somebody will call, oh, men borrow more than, you know, when we were in school, somebody was borrowing my dress. 3 hours of radio air time for la borrow.
You have a problem with that, Prof? I
have a problem that we have pressing issues, bad roads, we have school issues. Some are going to carry their own chairs. Some are walking distances, crossing rivers. We have hospital problems that kids are being born and sleeping on the floor. And you are using airtime to talk about who borrow more.
Prof, let me slide tackle you.
So, yes, slide tackle me. But make sure you don't get red card.
We have been talking.
A footballer here.
And talking
yes.
as a nation, right?
Yes.
You talk about some of maybe the more frivolous themes that are discussed on radio. And we can all say that maybe we should be focusing our attentions on discussions such as this. Yes. It took Manasseh since 2013. Yes. Not everybody has that same stamina. Yes. We've been talking about it. I think that maybe the average Ghanaian is fatigued. Turn on your TV or radio, to any station this morning.
We're talking about that this morning, right?
And I mean, these are the discussions.
And most people don't know that I was a morning show host.
I see.
So we started morning show, Abeku Santana, all that. I started Eastern FM. Morning.
So maybe people say that
I was a morning show host. I started radio debating at the University of Cape Coast with Alote Jacobs. So me, anything, Manasseh, before you come in to support me, I know that I always have your support. We've been talking a lot. We're a nation that talks too much. And I'm telling you that every morning show, since the time we started in 2000 till now, nothing has changed. The same talks. We talk too much and do little. But if you see the way the rest of the world have really taken the lead, comfortable lead, we need to double our steps. So what I'm saying to the media is that let's talk about developmental issues. Let's talk about things that can equity pay. Because all the strikes are coming from people who are not paid well. Let's talk about that. If people are not paid well, the police officer is not paid well, they will take the one city. But if they are paid well, like those in the advanced country that are paid well, you dare not give $5 or $10 or $20 to a police officer. You see? So let's look at the salary level, the way we pay people. If people are not paid well, they still have to survive. Survival instinct is part of human nature. So let's begin to pay our people well. And then let the media talk about developmental issues that will solve our common good problems. And stop talking about sentiment, because we like sentiments too much. I talk about this guy, what was the name? He said good. Killentia. I talk about that. And do you know that went viral? All the wise things that I said here, they picked only Killentia, and that was the word for the day. So we like sentiments too much. Even when we are demonstrating, it's Jama. You see, people were seeing Jama and singing and jumping, but you are demonstrating. Let the placards and everything show that you were seriously doing something, because that is how somebody like Gandhi did in South Africa, so that his people in South Africa, Indians, can get a vote and vote. You know, that kind of sitting down and demonstrating, non-violent demonstration, that made a result. And the Indians built a Jubilee House here and Job Center for us. It is coming from Gandhi. So if we want to do things, let's be serious. The sentiments
the sensationalism is too much. We are supposed to educate and inform people. But I think that we are moving to entertainment too much instead of educating the people. We are talking, but it's not every talk that we have to listen.
Right.
We need to talk right and make sure that we fix our own problem, because nobody anywhere will come to our country and fix our problems. We have to fix it ourselves.
So, Manasseh, you wanted to make an intervention.
Just a brief intervention that the 12 years that is taken is partly because of the media. And the support I wanted to give Prof is not just because the media wouldn't talk about it, but the media will fight you for doing this. 2017, I did a story that resulted in the cancellation of a $74 million contract awarded to the Jospon Group, this ZoomLion and its sister companies. There was a component of being liners, those rubbers they put, yes. The cost was $200,000. It was a dollar-denominated contract. Guess how much they invoiced the state? $14 million.
Wow.
Yes. They were selling a piece at 98 pesos. That's the Jospon Group. I went there for pro forma invoice, the same company that was supplying to the government. They said 98 pesos, less than 1 cedi. But as of 2016, the invoice to the government was $15.6. Even then. Corruption. Then the whole media, so if you check the newspapers, no single newspaper reports on this president's action on ZoomLion. Even the Ghana Journalists Association released a press statement to attack me on this.
Really?
Exactly, it's online. You had the likes of people say, oh, what have you done to Paul Adomotri? It all started from here. So I was about to say that, look, not only would the media not tackle some important issues, but they will fight you. And sometimes not people you work with in the same newsroom.
And so that is something that you have faced.
Yes.
Throughout your
And that's the reason it's taken 12 years. Because everybody is praising ZoomLion. You are a single voice saying otherwise. So people begin to even doubt why. Why are you the only person?
You have a beef with them?
A beef, yes.
And they also come after him.
Yes.
But he's fighting for the nation.
Prof, thank you for that perspective. I will come back to you. Ebo, let me hear from you. I read out that letter that came from the presidency directed to Manasseh, and point 3 talks about conducting competitive procurement. As a country, is that something that you would say we have done well with? Because we often talk about making sure that we get good value for money, but in many different industries and sectors, we see that we're still doing single sourcing, sole sourcing, specialized sourcing. Are you encouraged by this letter that things are going to change and we're going to start really interrogating the contracts that land before us?
Helen, we have no option. I've always said that corruption has been the bane of our development. I mean, Ghana has the potential to be the shining example in Africa. If you look at the kind of resources the Almighty God has given us, even in terms of human resources. But the problem is that we've created a system of corruption that, offers opportunity for a few people to enrich themselves at the expense of the larger the group, the citizenry, and that has been a worrying situation for a long time. For the first time, let me say this, for the first time, I'm seeing a leader who is determined and committed to do things differently. I'm talking about the president. So far, he's shown, of course, this is J.M. Abebiu. In other
2.0.
words, yeah, this is, yeah. And if you juxtapose this his style with this first term, you could see that this president is determined to do things differently. I think he's come to accept the fact that he's a legacy president, and therefore he would have to set certain examples, certain standards, so that even when he's gone, others would be compelled to follow. And that is exactly what he's doing. You see, this ZoomLion contract, I was a presiding member of Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly when this ZoomLion started. The first time they came to Cape Coast and all that. I mean, the concept was good. That is why a lot of people bought into the concept.
So this is, you say, around 2006?
Yes, I was the presiding member of Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly.
Right.
I mean, the concept, if it is explained to you what they are going to do, but it looks as if over the years, ZoomLion has become something different. And if you consider the fact that as middlemen or as an intermediary, what ZoomLion takes from the government and what it gives to the sweepers, the frontline workers, if you look at the difference, you will marvel as to why we would want to treat human beings like that. I mean, what is the minimum wage? And if you pay somebody 2.5 million, how do you expect the person to live or survive? If the person is working, and that is how much the person is going to be paid, all because they've had a stranglehold on our, if you like, sanitation job. If you don't work for ZoomLion, you can't work for any other sanitation company, more or less. And so there's no competition. And if you have a situation where there's no competition, these are some of the things that happen. So if the government says, now we're going to dismantle this opaque system, this sole sourcing, this sweetheart deals that gave ZoomLion that power to do the things some of the things they did. I mean, how they were able to, if you like, satisfy both NDC and MPP and still remain in business. It's amazing. This is something that we all need to ponder, because I remember 2016, as Manasseh Riley mentioned, MPP came out to say that when they were going to cancel ZoomLion contracts. When they came, I think they even added more contracts to ZoomLion.
What does that suggest to you, Ebo?
No, you see, politicians and money. If you want to change politicians' mind, don't talk to him too much. Just put an envelope on the table, and his mind will change. And that is, I think, some of these businessmen know how to play that game, so they don't talk much. They let the envelopes talk for them, and that is why they've been able to do the things they do, and doing the kind of I don't want to mention certain things here, but the most important thing is that...
Well, an MP recently said that he made a comment about ZoomLion. They called him to give him big money, and then he stopped talking.
I was even discussing with the Prof this morning. And I don't know why National Security has not taken up that issue. Because if an MP could say, I just posted something on my wall, that we should decentralize...
And who are you referring to? So that we can...
Kwame, A+. He said he posted something because someone insulted him and he wanted to deal with them. So he posted something on his Facebook wall or something like that, that sanitation in Ghana should be decentralized. And just that post alone attracted so many calls to the extent that he said he was giving fat money, good money, so that he will stop that campaign. So the question is, how...
Did he take it?
No, he took it. He took it. So the question is, how many more people...
Because the story was incomplete.
How many... See,
okay, Amanda, are you saying that was he offered or did he say he accepted?
No, he said he accepted it. He said it. Okay. I mean, on a live program, he said he accepted it.
I think Malaba knows something that we all don't know.
And I'm surprised National Security didn't take up that issue, because this is clear issue of bribery and corruption. This is a clear issue of bribery and corruption.
Not okay. This is what you say according to the MP.
Yeah, the MP himself came out to say it, and the fact that because of what he posted, if that is the response he had from the man, and that should tell you the kind of corrupt system you have. And that's the system. You see, they have a way of compromising you, and once they're able to do that, they can do whatever. My concern is that if you are dismantling this centralized system, and now we want to move to the centralized system, we should make sure that, as you rightly said, sole sourcing is done away with completely. There should be transparency. There should be fairness. You should be able to build more businessmen in these communities. If government can support even individuals to become ZoomLions competitors or other sanitation companies in the localities, it will be good for this country. You know, I was wondering. So ZoomLion alone controls everything in this country in respect of,
including senior high school
sanitation
and everything.
So if something happens and ZoomLion decide that today we are not working,
you say we'll be in a very dangerous position.
Yes. So I've
and
always
can kill everybody.
Yes,
right.
and if we thought the nurses going on strike is a serious problem, we should consider sanitation also as a very serious problem. If your sanitation system breaks down, you are completely out. And so I believe that moving forward, the president has taken a very bold step. This is what I would describe a great resetting move by the president. That for the first time, a president has been bold enough to take this decision to reset the system, to also restore dignity to the workers.
That's the human touch that Prof talks about.
Yes, dignity to the workers. Because 250 is not dignifying. A month is not dignifying at all. So president's decision to pay them directly and also to increase what is given to them is dignifying enough. At the same time, we're making some savings to the state as well, which means the president, now the government can even employ more hands, because then once you make savings, you have money to spend on more hands to create more jobs for the people. So for me, the decision to move from sole sourcing is a no-brainer. We should have it, and if you have it, it will be good for this country.
Well, thank you so much for your perspective. Let me go to lawyer Amalaba. Is it the era now of competitive procurements? What we're hearing this morning is competition, competition, competition. For a state that doesn't have a lot of money, that needs all the pesos that it can save, is that where we're moving towards? We're moving away from sole sourcing.
Helen, you see, in my short stay or life in this world, my short life in this world.
Short.
Very short. It's still short. In my short life in this world, there are certain things I can live with, some I cannot live with. So I can live with two businessmen doing business and cheating each other. I can live with that. Because that's the negative part of doing business. But I cannot live with a situation where the rich and powerful are cheating the poor. That's why I can't. And if you look at this contract of the ZoomLion, that's how it is. This poor woman, and the way the contracts have been structured, they don't take into consideration distances from where the people come from. Somebody can come from Dodua to Gamashi and work and get 250 Ghana cedis and trek back. Whatever he's going to do to get back, he goes back. These 250 Ghana cedis is lunch money for somebody. Lunch city here, at your back here. Your fufu is 150. Go there at 12:30. You see the number of big men who are there with their side chicks. So for me, my concern is about these sweepers and cleaners. Look, let's go back. Growing up as a boy in Tamale and Bolga, these district assemblies had, and Manasseh said it, had these sweepers. They had them. Then a time came and they said salary rationalization, and that the salaries of the district assemblies were bloated or were huge. So let's cut off the people and then give them to outsource them. This is the outsourcing. And so, has the outsourcing done us good or bad? And the verdict is out there with Manasseh's expose. Now, the president, having received the letter from Manasseh, saw the need not to terminate. This contract is not terminated. Saw the need not to renew. He has allowed this contract to run its full term. Manasseh, is that not it?
Yes.
Then renewal, maybe there was a renewal clause in it. So the president says, I'll not renew it.
All right, so that distinction is important.
Yeah, that's
this
it.
This contract has
People have been saying terminated.
That is not the correct terminology.
It expired in September.
So it expired
2024.
last year,
Yes.
and this government has decided not to renew. That is different from
Termination.
termination.
Yes.
After 19
Okay.
years.
Yes. Now, having made that declaration, he's gone further to talk about giving livable or living wages to the workers. You see where my interest lies again. I am not against Jospon. Never. I am not on any day, I am not against a Ghanaian businessman. But I want a Ghanaian businessman whose work would also improve upon the living conditions or the needs of the people that he's working with. In this case, we have Jospon shortchanging the people who are doing the work and giving them paltry salary. But if there is a renewal, and that renewal says that you would give these people living wages, I have no problem. I can also understand the monopoly issue that people are talking about on this table.
That's right.
That can we allow other players to come in? And that for me is a good call for one reason. That reason is this, that if you give all the contracts to one particular entity, what happens if the workers decide to go on strike? So Jospon now, and I'm advising him, Jospon now is a big player, doesn't need to cut corners again. In fact, he has been able to stabilize his business. Jospon can come into the system and do fair business.
So you're happy to still do business if the terms now, if reviewed, are favorable to the workers?
I am not on any day against any Ghanaian businessman. Never. And I met, I'm on a crusade to take away billboards and signboards of advertising companies that are blaring the vision of drivers. I met the Advertising Association 2 days ago in my office, and I told them that it's not about your business. I will not do anything to bring down your business, but it's about the safety of the road users. Can we reposition these billboards? So if there's a middle ground where Jospon can do his business, but my unfortunate workers can also have livable wages, I have no problem.
So
that is for me.
This contract is not to be renewed. We need to ensure that the country is clean. What does the government propose to do as far as the sanitation in Ghana is concerned? ZoomLion has been doing this for 19 years, so one can argue that they certainly have the experience. Who are you going to turn to? Look,
these workers are being assigned to district assemblies. Can the district assemblies absorb them? It is sad when I was hearing Manasseh that even if you go to the district assemblies, they don't have a list of the sweepers.
They haven't even seen the contract. Meanwhile, their money that is used to pay. No assembly in Ghana has a contract, but it's their money that is used to pay.
So they are all casual. They are paid under the table.
Yes.
Yes.
That is bad.
So, for the time being and in between time, can we assign those workers to the various assemblies? They are already working within some jurisdiction.
Yes.
Can you ask the assemblies to take charge of them? And then you can channel their payment through the assemblies for the time being. This is a stopgap measure. And this can be done because it used to be done where the district assemblies were the ones that paid the workers. The next thing is it possible that moving forward, we can call on other service providers to come into the fray?
You want to open it up. You want to hear from a number of different sanitation businesses so we can examine who can give us some good value.
Exactly. The other one that I don't even want to hear is the fumigation thing. The fumigation is done once a while. I just fumigated my office. It's a one-time thing. Just do it and go. But why would a fumigation contract exist? Do you fumigate every day?
Since 2000.
Why should a fumigation contract exist and you'll be paying every month? It doesn't happen that way. If you are even fumigating every day, when the chemicals kill you. So, for the fumigation contract, it must go. Any institution that wants to fumigate can call on them, and then they can do the fumigation. But I think that time has come to open up and allow other workers and other service providers to come into the fray. But at this point, I want to join Manasseh to commend the president for, at least at the tail end, listening to Manasseh, and this contract will not be renewed. I remember when Manasseh started this thing. Manasseh didn't go to Jeddah to look for Abu Gapelo. Manasseh went there because the people were forging signatures. I was close to Abu Gapelo, so I knew it. There was a guy who they were forging Abu Gapelo's signatures and taking money. He then went there and then stumbled upon what he saw. So his main issue was to deal with those who were forging the coordinators' signatures. And so you can see that he's not out to victimize anybody, but in the course of his business or his work, if it so happens that you cross the line, I think he will not also forgive you. So let me also commend him for following through to this point.
Absolutely, Lawyer Malva, thank you so much for your thoughts. And I reiterate that we have reached out to ZoomLion to also have their bites. They've indicated that they do not have receipt of whatever letter it is that was addressed to Manasseh, or shall I say the letter that was addressed to Manasseh from the presidency. We projected that onto the screens for you to also peruse. As Lawyer Malva also indicated, the contract has expired. That was also set out in the letter. Government has not terminated the contract, and I believe that is important to also state at this point. I'll read some of your messages and then we can get on to our next topic for the morning. So do keep them coming. We do this in tandem with you. All of your thoughts, your comments, your questions, even your suggestions, they're absolutely welcome. Kingston Asimiga says, it's always interesting listening to Amaliva. All right, I've let him know. Joshua Aveyeku says, humanity is being abused in most African countries. How can somebody collect baller, he puts into bracket rubbish, for a whole month and only take home 250 Ghana cedis? Some more of your comments coming through. You say this can only happen in the private sector. Nene Job Agama says the workers sometimes are not paid. Okay, the workers are not paid. And I think that's another recurring theme that I see in some of the comments that you are leaving, alleging that in some instances, workers are not paid for months at a time. And I say, is that something that you also uncovered throughout your investigations, that there are arrears even with this amount of money?
Yes, sometimes the arrears can be there up to 1 year. But the contract says that if ZoomLion raises an invoice and you don't pay within 3 months, you pay interest on that invoice.
So wait, that is between ZoomLion and YE?
1 year, yes. So you have maybe road contractors that work and then for years they don't get their money. But for ZoomLion, with this contract, after 3 months, they begin to charge interest on the arrears. So last year they charged the 90 million Ghana cedis. Interest.
In interest alone?
Yes. Meanwhile, they say they are going to pre-finance this service. So they don't pre-finance. The workers can be owed for so long. But when ZoomLion takes this arrears, the workers don't benefit. It's a whole lot of mess. And then if you go in there to ask those behind the scenes, they will tell you, look, we know this is wrong, but ZoomLion is so powerful, people will begin to call it from the top. The immediate past CEO, Kofi Japan, he stood on his ground, fought the board. The board at the time was chaired by Reverend Kusi Boateng, Victor Kusi Boateng stroke Kwabena Edujemfi. That's the wife who chaired that board. And the board wasn't helpful. Otherwise, this contract would have been gone long time ago because the CEO said it is wrong. I think only 2 board members, Lawrence Japan and then Vincent Asifa, the MP.
Right, for
They were
Old
the-
Tafel.
Yes. They were the only ones who stood with Kofi Japan. And so it is true, they are not paid, and some have some have stopped working as a result.
Right.
But the company bills every month 45,000 multiplied by the amount allocated.
Look at this text, sir. As you speak now, for the past 16 months now, the sweepers have not even been paid their 250 Ghana cedis.
Okay, that is what is being alleged
Texter,
by
yeah.
somebody texting you. All right, let me read a few more of your messages. This one from Osajifo Kwesi says, the rate we treat the poor in Ghana is whole wickedness. What do Ghanaians even benefit from that? A national database must be conducted, and those who are earning below 1,000 Ghana cedis monthly must be paid some more allowances. Only our politicians and a few corrupt people are enjoying Ghana. We're told only the politicians are enjoying. Prof, read that to us, please.
ZoomLion should not, or should be banned from bidding for the contract again, because it is not only that they were not paying the sweepers well, there is that side of suspected criminality in the handouts, as Manasseh alluded to. And in the president letter to Manasseh, it talks about some audit that needs to be done. At least we are getting some results.
Thank you for that, Prof.
was banned by World Bank for 2 years from bidding for any World Bank contract because it paid bribes in Liberia. So this is a company that is noted. There's evidence of wrongdoing. There's evidence of criminality. That's why when they sued me and people said, oh, we can settle, I said, no, I'm prepared to meet them in court. When I filed my defense, they ran away.
They never returned.
They will not dare, because I have evidence. If I am very meticulous, I know people have reputation. So if I say a company is corrupt and you've inflated a contract, I'll go to somewhere to get a price. I'll come to you. You say $15.6 a piece. Then I come to you on your letterhead, you give me 98 pesos a piece. So if I go out and say you have inflated your price, you cannot challenge me anyway.
Yeah.
So this company is noted for a lot of terrible things.
Thank you, Manasseh. Osman Swali, who says government should incorporate professional monitoring and evaluation officers to set up a robust system to track performances at all districts. We just employ people with experience and expertise, and they just go around supervising anyhow. Citizen AJ Jones says the 24-hour economy can even start in sanitation, where there will be 3 shifts. Lawyer Maliba, is there a plan in that direction as far as the 24-hour
Well, the policy will be launched
1st July.
1st July, yes. So let's wait and see. But already some institutions have started. The ports have started. DVLA has started. But let's wait for the full rollout. But this is another area that you can talk about it, because there are some places they need to be swept before the next day in the morning. So people can do that in the evening. And when you go out, you see that people actually, the cleaning that is done in the night. Then the following day, people start their work.
Can't we educate people not to throw trash and rubbish anywhere?
But we have been educating.
Let's provide those, tools for them, so that garbage cans are everywhere, so that people
No,
can
you
throw
see,
those
this
things
is
in
not, everybody knows that you don't throw garbage. What you now need to do is to punish. How long are you going to be educated? Have you been educated throughout your life? At a point, you punish. So where we are now is punish people for engaging in those acts. We have educated from primary school, they educated us to this time. So it is about the lack of enforcement of laws. And when people don't fear that they will be punished, then they do those things. Why? When we were in school,
I remember.
you only dress your bed when they are doing inspection. So people do what you inspect.
My
they don't do what you expect.
Baby, my point was that let's provide, the tools, the garbage cans, so that they can, because if I had to put some garbage in my car and I forgot a whole week it was in there because I didn't have a place, at a public place to put them.
That's also another thing, yes.
So let's provide those things for them. Even at the roadside, let's provide, you travel and you see them. Every 5 miles, there is this toilet facility that people can stop and go pee and then buy some drinks. Let's begin to do those things for our people.
Our people steal them.
But you put a police officer there, security person
looking
there.
after garbage.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about traveling along the big roads, the highways, and having restroom facilities there every 5 miles, so that they can stop and then urinate. Please take that up and let's do it.
Such that where I go to school in the US, there are some that are metal. So they put some this rubber
chain and then
you can drop.
You hook it.
And then when you're walking, every 5 minutes you see one. So I like chewing granite and then walking around.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I've got the US for.
So,
yes, the US, if you go to the shop, you get raw granite.
so as you
You know,
go,
I've
you're
got the
able
US
to.
for 20 years. That is done everywhere.
Yes.
Once the tools are there and the person throw it on the ground, then you can punish. But you don't, people don't have.
You know, people actually take these dustbins.
I know, but we have a way of making them that grounded on the floor that they can't pick them. We have some chains that they can hook them to.
In fact,
So, yeah,
yes,
we can-
I mean,
but-
I'll take your view.
excited. The president said sanitation outcomes are going to be tied to the assemblies, the KPIs of the assemblies.
Very good initiative.
I mean, that was fantastic. So now, if you're MC or DC, you can easily be sacked if you have poor sanitation in your district.
We go to your district and it's full of filth. Then we know
That alone that alone will be a solid ground
for dismissal.
For
And
dismissal.
now they will give you the opportunity to hire. Now you go to the assemblies, the place is dirty. Why is it dirty? Well, ZoomLion has a contract. Why can't you enforce it? The contract, we haven't seen the contract. They pay in Accra. So whether ZoomLion works or not,
They are still paid.
they are still paid in Accra.
That's terrible.
But now, if the MC or DC is in charge of the contract, if the company doesn't work, you don't pay. So you can be held accountable. So I think it's a very good initiative to say.
And some of the district assemblies are also giving sanitation contracts, which I've cited on, that somebody is giving that contract to sweep this area. They employ some local women there, and then they will come and sweep, and then they pay them. So that is part of the decentralization, where people will get that contract, and then you hire women around that area. They don't need to travel or get transportation, but they will just come and sweep in the morning and go to their normal farms and still get the additional payment. That is also a good thing.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, we'll close the chapter on the first topic so we can have a bite on the second issue that we tabled for the morning. And I am seeing a number of your messages. Do keep them coming. Apologies, I won't be able to read them out, but some over 1,000 messages coming from you all. We're very grateful. We do this in tandem with you. But the second issue that we have tabled has to do with the NCA and a number of radio stations that we were initially told had been shut down for different breaches. And then in a 2-hour turnaround, we were told that the President of the Republic had granted some clemency. I'm reading out the story for you on 3news.com. Make sure you're checking out 3news.com. Now, Minister for Communications Samuel Nate George has said that the radio stations that were closed have been given a 30-day grace period to rectify their issues, rectify whatever anomalies were spotted. He says the stations will be closed down again if they fail to rectify the issues by the end of the 30-day period. And yesterday was quite an energetic one in the House of Parliament. I'm sure we can take a look at some of the happenings and pronouncements on the floor of Parliament. I'm not sure if those videos are ready. All right, we'll get straight into the conversation. I'm sure the gentlemen in studio had a chance to listen to some of the commentary on the floor of Parliament. Lawyer Malba, I'll start off with you. I'll give you some 3 minutes on this. We have limited time. Honorable Afenyomakin, minority leader in Parliament, he says that this turnaround, just some 2 hours later, the president granting clemency, says it was for the optics. He also says it was due to the backlash. Why did we not just get one communique? It seemed a bit, I don't know, a bit strange.
You have a regulator in NCA that is supposed to regulate the frequencies and the radio stations. The regulator has a responsibility to live by the laws that governs it. I'm a regulator of the road sector, and that's why I'm doing this with these billboards. Now, the regulator came out to say that, and this is not the first time, that some radio stations have failed to renew their licenses. So it is shutting them down. And that's what the law says. Some of the stations have been given reminders. And some of these reminders were even in the old administration, like One to Me and Co. Now, the regulator carries out the threat and shuts down the radio stations. Then the president, hearing the noise people have made and the cries of people about the close down of this radio station then says that, remember, he's not saying don't close them down. He says, give them a grace period, but close them down after a grace period.
So Honorable Afenyo-Markin was right then. He said
No.
because of the backlash, that's why the president...
Oh, yes, it is because of the calls and people saying that, oh, no, can you give them grace periods? Can you give them grace period? And you know President Mahama. President Mahama is not like this man. Look at what this man said.
Who are you referring to, Lawyer Maliba?
I cannot reopen closed radio stations. Follow due process. That is Akufo-Addo.
What year was this?
What year?
2020.
Or 20, I know, between 2019.
2018.
I have it here.
Right.
It would be difficult for me.
April 5th, 2020.
This is what this man said. It will be difficult for me to be the one to unlock them. The procedures are there. I am surprised that a year or so later, those procedures are not being used to get the radio stations back on track. I don't really think there's any big secret about it. The law is very clear. Mahama didn't say the law is very clear. Don't forget, President Mahama is himself one of them. He's a journalist. And he understands and appreciates the value of you tuning to your favorite radio station and then you hear noise. Shh. He understands that. He understands how that is problematic. So he then said, look, Sam George, can you give them 30 days grace period? If Mahama wanted to do a grandstanding, Mahama would have made the security agencies to invite Akufo-Addo, and then in the next 3 days, 3 minutes, he said, oh, leave him, I'm a listening president. But he didn't do that.
I don't understand.
I'm saying that if he wanted to be known for being a father for all, or he's engaged in politicking, like the MPP is saying, he would have said, invite Akufo-Addo. We must question him for this big hole he dug over there. Then 3 minutes later, he said, okay, leave him.
But questions are being asked about that.
I am saying that he would have done that. Has he done that? He has not done that. But the point is this. Haven't written that letter and say that give them 3 days grace period.
30 days.
30 days grace period is because he feels that the law must not be used to stifle press freedom. And that press freedom is above and higher than just using the laws. Because radio and television is like a way of life for people. And so when you close them down, it's like polluting a river that feeds the community. So he understands all these things. But at the end of the day, if they don't, within 30 days, they will still be shut down.
We'll see that
yes.
shutting down. All right. Maliba, thank you so much for that bite. Prof, have your bite on this for me.
Just a quick
2
bite
minutes,
on
please.
this. NC has clamped down on the 14 FM stations. Then the president grants clemency for 30 days. Then the minority leader comes and says that it is belated and that the president did that out of pressure. I find that unfortunate.
Unfortunate?
Unfortunate, because clemency is something that comes out of one's will, empathy, to help, empathize with the situation. And if you think that empathy is not good, as Amaliba said, there was another president who said, and I want to quote that one, on the 5th April 2020, he said that, I can't reopen closed down radio stations, follow due process. It's here. So one acted with iron hands. I can't open it, just follow due process. One said that give them 30 days and then let them fix it. But there are more problems. If they think that Asasi Radio and Wuntumi Radio was closed down because of the MPP, there were NDC stations in Pando and Hohoi that were also closed down.
In fact, Sam George said on the floor of Parliament that he was getting calls from both sides of the aisle.
So all of them. So the president listening to both sides, he's a father of all, and then listening to them. 64 radio stations. But there are more bigger problems. There are 600 licensed, stations yet to be active. People have bought the frequencies and they are hiding them.
They're hiding them.
Yes.
At the opportune time.
Yeah, they will use it. So over 600 licenses yet remains inactive stations. Frequency bought. You
What kind of system are we running here?
Profit from it.
What? So are they going to resell it to other people? What kind of system are we running here? So we are enemies of ourselves. And I must say this unapologetically, that we have chosen to be stupid. With all the resources that we have, why do we make life difficult for ourselves? We think a white man somewhere will come and make life easier for us. We need to tell our own story and build our own country. When we reduce things to the barest minimum and make things easy for everybody, I fight for the poor. You see, I'm passionate for the poor. Somebody cannot get Gary and granola to eat a day. Somebody. And we sit on resources, you buy frequencies and put them in your pocket. Inactive. So we have a lot of problems. Some have acquired them, they have not used them. What are they doing with them? So I'm calling on the NCA to clamp down on those things. If you bought them and you are not using them, bring them.
Maybe there should be an expiry.
Exactly. What kind of system is this?
Prof, thank you for your bite. Ebo, let me come to you to also have a quick bite on this one.
This one, very quick one.
Yes.
You see, the president is too good. I mean, sometimes I think it's being too good.
What do you
sometimes.
say to those who say, well, this is what we call PRing. That's what the president is engaged in.
Yeah, but you see, the same constitution that, guarantees press freedom or media freedom also enjoins us to operate within the bounds of rules and regulations. Is it not it? So if radio stations are not operating within the stipulated rules and regulations governing them, they would have to be dealt with. For me, there shouldn't be any consideration.
So even for you, that 30-day clemency should not even be there?
I don't support it at all.
The regulations are the regulations.
I don't support it at all.
The law is the law.
That is what happens, and people take advantage of it, and they make reference to some of these things. Because if we want the system to work, then the laws and regulations, rules must work. I mean, you can't have a system that grants freedom and the system will grant you freedom, but the system will not, expect you to be responsible. We can't have that system. Freedom must move with responsibility. If you fail to be responsible, to play the game within the confines of the law or the rules and regulations, you have to be dealt with according to what the law says.
That way it can serve as a deterrent.
Yes, for me, yes, the president, maybe because of his background and because of his nature, the way he is. But if I were the president, I am telling you, there's no way.
Ebo says if he were president, there would be no mercy.
There was no way I would grant anyone clemency.
Not even one-day clemency?
No. You see, some of them, like Untumisti station, I think 2024 or 2023, or 2022 thereabout, he was asked to do the right thing because they realized that, of course, those who have political links, the way they behave. He was asked to do ABC. He refused to do. So now that this government is now asking him to do, it's like the government is witch hunting. Meanwhile, you were asked to do it even when your government was in power. So I'm saying that if I were the president, I would let the law work to its logical conclusion. I will not spare anyone.
Thank you for that.
And for me, that should be the way forward. If you really want this country to move forward, you shouldn't spare people when they break the law. It's only when the difference between what happens here and outside, advanced country, is that they don't joke with their laws. We joke with our laws, expecting that things will work naturally, and it's not happening.
Ebo says no mercy if he was the president. Manasseh, I've only got a minute for you, so do have a bite on this. The youth call something settings. Is that what you're seeing from the president? Is this settings? Is it PR?
Well,
or are you convinced that he's taking this legacy term as seriously as many say he is?
Someone had opportunity to do the settings, and the person chose to be vindictive. And I call it vindictiveness because there was evidence of selective closure. The Media Foundation for West Africa went on the website of the NC and said, okay, you've closed down ABC, but there are these radio stations that even operated longer without authorized renewal. Why have you left them? What did the NCA do? They pulled out that data and took out the column that contained the dates for renewal, the last date of renewal, just to hide that. But the Media Foundation had downloaded these things. When Eslausu was asked at the vetting, she pretended she didn't know about that column. So what am I saying? I am in support of Ebo. Uncle Ebo White, I used to go and sell books at his place. His show starts at 4 p.m. By 3 p.m., you don't get parking at the National Theatre.
I can corroborate. He's prompt.
Everywhere is full. Because if you miss 1 minute of Uncle Ebo White's show, you go, the play has started. How many Ghanaians go to the embassy late when they have visa appointments? So when we want laws to work, we should be strict. But the problem has been that the strictness is not applied across board. Some are favored, some are not favored. So in this case, if they pointed out to me that, okay, there were NDC stations that were left out, I would have a serious problem with that. Like in the past, I was in Kumasi speaking to somebody, and then they mentioned one radio station, the capital, one of the stations that was aligned to the NDC. And they would say, oh, yeah, catch them NDC, but still, they are supporting NDC. We didn't renew, but they left us. This was a manager of a radio station telling me that they also had a problem, but they were spared.
Left off the hook.
So my problem has been the selective application. If the law has to work, it has to work across the board. But in the past, it was selectively applied, and they had to even delete some data to hide it after we got the evidence. And those same people have the guts to be complaining. Other people can talk about it. But those who defended this vindictiveness yesterday, sometimes when I hear them talking about these things, I just tune off because I don't have the heart to listen to them.
Manasseh, thank you so much for that. And let me say a very big thank you to all the gentlemen in studio this morning. You've enriched the discussion greatly. We're very grateful for your time. Well, okay. It's good to see him in the flesh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most certainly.
If I begin to criticize the NDC, they'll say, you shouldn't be bringing him
Manasseh, time will certainly tell, and we're monitoring very keenly those who are excited about what you do.
No, but he's really done well.
No, but you see, I've written a piece, and in this crusade, in my piece, I commend the NDC, even on social media. When I started this crusade recently, writing to Basin Tale not to renew this, I had a lot of support from NDC activists on social media, some people in government. So when I say that in the past NDC administration I had the freedom to do the work I did, I didn't have that in the NPP administration. I'm saying that out of evidence.
Right.
So despite everything, we sometimes when I don't favor them, they insult me, all of that. But it is normal to disagree.
Absolutely.
But certain regimes, from my experience, have been more tolerant of dissent. And I can say that for His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama.
Thank you so much. Manasseh Azuri-Awuni is investigative journalist, also an author. This morning, we were also joined by Professor Enoch Opoku Entry, governance expert, no stranger to the platform, also a policy analyst, always enriching our discussions. Ebo Bachman, senior communicator, Movement for Change. He didn't come with his yellow Bible today, but that's all right.
It's always on our phone.
Okay, that's the new age.
Yeah, it's always on our phone.
All right, Abraham Amaliba, Acting Director General, National Road Safety Authority. Let me also wish the gentlemen in studio a happy Father's Day in advance. It's happening on Sunday. I hope you're going to be celebrated greatly.
When somebody tells you Happy Father's Day?
When you say Happy Father's Day, what's the
You
response?
Definitely will not say same to you.
I say same to you?
No, you say
But
thank
I
you.
want a job from him. So let me say it.
You already have the job.
Manasseh, you want to use my platform to lobby?
Yes.
Please,
This
please.
Bill Boston,
Ah.
I want to be one of the campaigners against it. It annoys me to the core.
You are hired. I have hired you before you
It
even get
is-
to him.
I've traveled across the world. I don't see anywhere that you see the kind of obscenity we have.
Yes.
That you are driving. Sometimes they put it in front of. There was one in East Legon in front of a national security camera. A big billboard
So
blocking national-
obstructing the whole view.
Yes.
They are
My
nuisance.
goodness.
Yeah.
When you travel elsewhere, there are road signs direct you, all of that. You come here.
Absolutely.
So it is a
So
good
AB,
fight.
he's high.
No,
All right.
Yeah,
I
but-
will
All right,
enroll
gentlemen.
him, I will enroll him
but
as a road safety advocate.
Time for me to go.
Advocate, ambassador.
It's time for me to go. What a morning it has been.
Pro bono. This is pro bono.
Another exciting morning done, and thank you so much to all of you who have joined us on the big issue all week long. You've made your views, your thoughts, your questions, your suggestions heard, and we're very grateful. We pause now for a quick break. When we come back, there's more on New Day.